she's managed to find time to go on television to gaslight the public. Secretary Noem has a lot of answers for Republicans have impeached cabinet secretaries for less, for noting, in fact. For those reasons, Mr. Chair, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11, I move that the committee subpoena Department of Homeland Security Secretary Christy Lynn Noem.
Gentleman yield back.
I yield
Before the gentleman yields back, is there a motion?
Move to table the motion.
There is a motion to table. The committee will suspend at this time.
Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman's recognized.
Parliamentary inquiry. Are we waiting on something?
Waiting on members to return to the committee room.
So will you entertain that request from the minority when we don't have enough members to defeat a vote?
Ms. Goldman, the committee hearing at this point is in suspension per the rules. I have the ability to call us into suspension, and that's where we are at this point.
No, I understand. I'm just wondering if you're going to do it similarly and equally for the minority, or you're just going to make it for the majority.
Quality.
Mr. Chairman, I know this is your maiden voyage, but there's a motion on the floor, and you can't recess a motion because the members are not here.
The committee is not in recess, Ranking Member Thompson.
Well, that's what you said.
I'm sorry, the committee has been suspended.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Ms. Thompson.
There's a motion before the committee, and I ask that my motion be acted on. You can't suspend it or do anything like that. That's not the rules. Mr. Chairman, the rules don't, of this committee don't allow for just to stop. And I'm just asking that we go forward with the motion.
The chair has already explained where we are at this point, Mr. Thompson, and until additional members return to the chamber, we will not be moving forward.
I'm just saying that if we following the rules of the committee, what you're doing is not in the rule.
your point has been made and is in the record that you do not feel that I'm following the rules. That has been made clear, Mr. Thompson, and so you can continue to make that and continue to put that in the record if you would like.
Can you cite to us what rule allows for you to suspend until members return? Parliamentary inquiry.
Wow. The people, this is how we break rules all day here. Law and order, folks. That was the most gospel.
Mr. Chairman, I asked the parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, sir, Mr. Goldman.
Can you please cite the rule of the committee that allows you to suspend the hearing to wait for members to come for a vote? I assume you want to follow the rules of the committee as the chairman.
As I understand, Mr. Goldman, it's at the chair's discretion. I have used that discretion, and I have suspended. I understand that you and Mr. Thompson and other members may not be happy with that, but that is the decision.
No, I just want you to follow the rules. Simple question. I assume you want to follow the rules as the acting chairman. So presumably there's a rule that you can cite to that allows you to do this. There is no general discretion of the chair to do whatever the chair wants to do. That is not a rule in the House of Representatives.
All right, at this time, the motion before the chair is a motion to table. That motion to table is privileged. That motion is non-debatable. All those in favor of the motion to table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by saying no.
No.
The chair rules that the ayes have it and that the motion prevails.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
assuming that there is a request for a recorded vote. Is that correct, Mr. Thompson?
There is a request
All
for a
right,
recorded
there
vote.
has been a request for a recorded vote. We'll let our clerk get situated. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. McCall. Mr. Higgins. Aye. Mr. Higgins votes aye. Mr. Jimenez. Aye. Mr. Jimenez votes aye. Mr. Pfluger. Mr. Pfluger votes aye. Mr. Garbarino. Aye. Mr. Garbarino votes aye. Ms. Green. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Luttrell. Mr. Luttrell votes aye. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong votes aye. Mr. Burkeen. Mr. Burkeen votes aye. Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane votes aye. Mr. Ogles. Mr. Ogles votes aye. Mrs. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs votes aye. Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans votes aye. Mr. McKenzie. Mr. Knott. Ranking Member Thompson.
Nay.
Ranking Member Thompson votes no. Mr. Swalwell. Mr. Correa. Mr. Correa votes no. Mr. Tanadar. Mr. Tanadar votes no. Mr. Magaziner. No. Mr. Magaziner votes no. Mr. Goldman.
No.
Mr. Goldman votes no. Mrs. Ramirez.
No.
Mrs. Ramirez votes no. Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Kennedy votes no. Mrs. McIver?
No.
Mrs. McIver votes no. Ms. Johnson? Ms. Johnson votes no. Mr. Hernandez? Ms. Poe? Ms. Poe votes no. Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter votes no. Mr. Green? What you got?
Mr. Clerk, how am I recorded?
The chairman is not recorded.
The chair votes aye.
Chairman Guest votes aye.
Are there other members who wish to have their vote recorded or to change their vote? Seeing none, would the clerk please report the tally of the vote?
Mr. Chairman, on that vote, there were 12 ayes and 11 noes.
The motion
order.
passes.
Point of order. Could we please have the list of aye votes read to us and members that voted aye?
The members that voted aye are as follows: Mr. Higgins, Mr. Jimenez, Mr. Pfluger, Mr. Garbarino, Mr. Luttrell, Mr. Strong, Mr. Burkeen, Mr. Crane, Mr. Ogles, Mrs. Biggs, and Mr. Evans, and Chairman Guest.
Were all present to cast their votes?
Mr. Clerk, we're all present and cast for votes, to your knowledge?
Yes, all were present in the room when they voted.
Thank you.
The ranking member has yielded back. At this time, I would recognize myself for my 5 minutes of questioning. I want to respond to some of the allegations contained in the ranking member's opening statement. And Mr. Thompson, I'm assuming that you didn't write that statement because you have known me for some period of time. I know you to be someone who, that I have a long-standing relationship with, and do not believe that you would write an opening statement attacking mine or the Christianity of any other member of this committee. I don't believe that you would weaponize my religious beliefs. I don't believe that you would criticize me because I choose to teach Sunday school in my church, and to somehow say that because I'm a Sunday school, because I'm a Christian, that me being a part of this hearing somehow, in some way, flies in the face of my religious beliefs. Because what we're doing here today is we are not casting a broad net on every non-governmental organization, every nonprofit. We are instead focusing this hearing on those who have profited off of the illegal immigration that we saw under the Biden-Harris administration. I have mentioned nothing in my statement about nonprofits such as Red Cross, Catholic Charities, Samaritan's Purse, Doctors Without Borders, nonprofits who actually take money and use it for the good, who are out there collecting money from their congregation, from members of the community who wish to give back. Instead, this hearing is focused on those handful of nonprofits who received their money almost exclusively from grants from the federal government, but yet still claim to be nonprofits. Ms. Hopper, you mentioned two of those in your written testimony, two that I referenced in my opening statement, those two being Endeavors, who, according to my information that I received, Endeavors received 97% of their funding from federal or local grants. They weren't out raising money. They weren't out there ringing the bell there at Christmas asking people to give money. They weren't in churches asking members of the congregation to please give to these organizations. They were instead an arm of the federal government in that they received 97% of their funding. And then Southwest Key Properties was an NGO that blew past that. 99% of their funding came from grants from the federal government. And what did these organizations do with that? You talk about in your testimony, Ms. Hopper, you talk about Endeavor, that in 2020, Endeavor reported $52 million in revenue. That in 2021, they reported $658 million in revenue. A $600 million increase in a year with 97% of that money coming from the federal government. And that in 2022, they reported a record $1.18 billion from the federal government, or at least 97% of that. You talk about how executives for Endeavor padded their pockets, that with this increase in revenue comes increase in salary, that the compensation for the CEO doubled. You talk about these particular CEOs that I mentioned, instead of using that money to protect children, they were treating this money like venture capitalists. You also stated in there that an Endeavor's individual, someone within their organization, said that the border crisis was a boom for business. In an article from the New York Post, they talk about another one of these nonprofits. They talk about Southwest Key. The headline says, Texas nonprofit housing migrant kids took $3 billion in grants from Biden administration and boosted executive salaries up to 139% to pull the plug. And so I am offended when people from the other side say that we're not being Christian, that we don't want to help people. We're not saying that all nonprofits are bad. Many of us support and give money and volunteer to those. But this hearing today is focused on those nonprofits which were government funded, which were used by the Biden-Harris administration to continue to move people across the border against the will of the public and without the authorization of Congress. So with that, I yield back, and I now recognize my friend from California, Mr. Carrera, for 5 minutes for his questioning of the witnesses.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do hope to continue to work with you as a friend here in this committee. I would also, though, want to point out that some of our witnesses have to be careful with the testimony. Mr. Rosa has pointed out Catholic Charities as being one of those organizations that received funding. I'm a Catholic. I'm kind of disappointed in that.
Why?
Because of what the chairman said. This Catholic Charities does good work. And you pointed out somebody who got money to do something that was unethical or illegal. Thank you. But, Mr. Chairman, big job here of this committee is oversight, okay? Homeland Security's budget is doubled. The mission, as was pointed out, some of the witnesses here today, was to go after undocumented criminals. Yet, back home every day, we're a peaceful, loving community. Masked ICE agents, no badge, no identification, grabbing people off the streets on the suspicion that they may be undocumented. Today, 70% of those apprehended, undocumented, are not criminals. They're hardworking taxpayers. Recently, a pastor in Florida that had been here for 20 years with a stay of removal was arrested. All of you've known, I told you the story, I'll tell it again. Father, 25 years, not a traffic ticket to his name. Father of 3 Marines was apprehended. DHS recently raided a church in California. Sanctuary. I thought we're supposed to go after criminals. What authority does DHS have to go after churches? Are these the right people? Not quite sure. Are we creating a national federal police here with unlimited powers? But, let's not talk about undocumented here. Let's talk about U.S. citizens, okay? Countless U.S. citizens being detained in this country. In my district, an attorney, woman, female, walking down Centennial Park, apprehended by ICE, did not touch, did not do anything offensive to the ICE agent, was arrested, put in a van with no windows, cuffed, taken to a detention center for hours. What are we coming to? Many stories like that. U.S. citizens being detained by ICE, not for a few hours, but for a few days. So a U.S. citizen speaking with an accent. U.S. citizens. Do I have to carry around a passport now? Do I have to tell children that are American citizens to have their ID and passports with them? Is that what we're coming to? Mr. Chairman, I want to work with you. Let's work on oversight, okay? A lot of these ICE agents, their performance, are probably going to rely on that defense called qualified immunity when they do things like violate our constitutional rights. What's our defense for not doing a job of oversight? Facial recognition technology now? Everybody now, citizens or not, U.S. citizens, facial recognition technology without your permission, without a warrant. We should, Mr. Chairman, today have Todd Lyons, Acting Director of ICE, come before this committee and explain what's going on. Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Clause 2, sub K, sub 6 of Rule 11, I move that the committee subpoena Mr. Todd Lyons, the Acting Director of ICE. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I move to table.
There is a motion to table. Ms. Crater, you yield back at this point?
Yes.
And the gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Florida has moved to table. The motion is privileged and is non-debatable. All those in favor of the motion to table, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by stating no. No. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. Is there a request, Mr. Ranking Member? A request from Mr. Correa for a recorded vote. We will allow the clerk a moment to a recorded vote in this matter has been called. Mr. Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Green of Tennessee, Mr. McCall, Mr. Higgins, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez votes aye. Mr. Pfluger. Mr. Pfluger votes aye. Mr. Garbarino. Mr. Garbarino votes aye. Ms. Green. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Luttrell. Mr. Luttrell votes aye. Mr. Strong.
Aye.
Mr. Strong votes aye. Mr. Burkeen. Mr. Burkeen votes aye. Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane votes aye. Mr. Ogles. Mr. Ogles votes aye. Mrs. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs votes aye. Mr. Evans. Mr. McKenzie. Mr. Knott. Aye. Mr. Knott votes aye. Ranking Member Thompson.
Nay.
Ranking Member Thompson votes no. Mr. Swalwell. Mr. Correa. No. Mr. Correa votes no. Mr. Tanadar. No. Mr. Tanadar votes no. Mr. Magaziner. Mr. Goldman. No. Mr. Goldman votes no. Mrs. Ramirez.
No.
Mrs. Ramirez votes no. Mr. Kennedy.
No.
Mr. Kennedy votes no. Mrs. McIver.
No.
Mrs. McIver votes no. Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson votes no. Mr. Hernandez. Ms. Poe. Ms. Poe votes no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter votes no. Mr. Green of Texas.
Are there other members who wish to have their vote recorded?
Mr. Evans is not recorded. Mr. Evans votes aye.
Mr. Clerk, how is the chair recorded?
The chair is not recorded.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Magaziner recorded.
Mr.
Mr.
Clerk, is
Magaziner
Mr.
was not
Magaziner recorded?
Mr. Magaziner was not recorded.
Mr. Magaziner, how would you like to be recorded? Mr. Magaziner is recorded as a no.
Mr. Magaziner votes no.
Mr. Clerk, how is the chair recorded?
The chair has not been recorded.
Chair votes aye.
Chairman Guest votes aye.
The clerk will report the total.
On that vote, Mr. Chairman, there were 12 ayes and 11 noes.
The motion is not successful. The motion is successful and is agreed to. At this point, I would recognize my friend from the state of Florida, Mr. Jimenez, for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hopper, how many children do you think that DHS basically lost, didn't have track of during the 4 years of the Biden administration that were admitted into the United States?
The reports vary, but as of the last number that we were made aware of was over 325,000 children that went unaccounted for.
325,000 children are not accounted for. So my colleagues on the other side don't want to speak about this hearing. They want nothing to do with this hearing, all right? Why? Because of the failure, and one of the greatest failures in American history of the Biden administration, I believe, was in not keeping track of children. And it wasn't like the folks that sit on the other side of this aisle weren't made aware by people sitting on this side of the aisle that it was happening. And, you know, they failed to do anything or speak out against really this atrocity that was happening to the children that were coming through the border. So this hearing is about the enrichment of certain, NGOs and their part in this tragedy. But also one thing that we haven't talked about is really, not only did this administration enrich a lot of these NGOs, and I'm not painting them all the same. I'm Catholic, all right? So, you know, and I'm a really good friend of our Archbishop in Miami, all right? You know, we have dinner and all that. So I know the great work that they do, but I know there's also bad apples in there. But also the billions of dollars that flowed to the Mexican cartels through human trafficking. And all of it, and you heard, this is not the first time you're going to hear me say it, was done on purpose. Because you can't be that stupid You can't be that dumb. And so the Biden administration lost track of 300,000 people, children, all right? Probably lost track of millions of other people, migrants, in the United States as they were being trafficked all around. Some indentured servants, the children indentured servants, and even worse, in sex trade, all done on purpose. That has to be one of the biggest scandals in American history. And that's why my colleagues on the other side are running for the hills. But you can run, but you can't hide, and you can't justify the inexcusable. And it's not like we didn't tell them. And it wasn't like I wasn't here for 4 years telling them, hey, this is happening, and it's done on purpose. And a lot of my colleagues here were doing the same thing, and they just ran away. And now they're trying to say, well, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about what we're talking about today. And so what we're trying to, bring to light is we want to make sure this never happens again. And yeah, we need to bring it to light right now because it wasn't going to be brought to light under the Biden administration. All right, and make sure that it never happens again. And I thank God that we have President Trump in office who has controlled the border. And so the cartels aren't getting richer by the minute using human trafficking, and that our children, those children are not being exploited. And so, again, what can we do to make sure this never happens again, Ms. Harper?
Thank you for your question. I actually had compiled a couple of policy recommendations. Now, there are more than what that I can provide, but first of all, we need to initiate forensic audits of all ORR contracts over $100 million and potentially suspend funding until completed, along with implementing full clawback provisions for unspent funds and mandate independent federal oversight, standardized tracking, and thorough home studies for UAC placements.
Thank you, and I hope that we as a committee can take those recommendations and put them into legislation, and I hope it would be a bipartisan effort, because what's happening to those children is definitely a crime. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields
Point of
back.
order, Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Point of order.
Thank you. I ask unanimous consent to include into the record this Republican press release from this committee saying that Catholic Charities and the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is in fact under investigation.
Without objection, it will be admitted. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from the state of Michigan, Dr. Thanadar, for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ranking Member. Today, I speak as a representative of the American people who desire accountability, transparency, and integrity. My Republican colleagues on this committee continue to discuss fabricated allegations and are intimidating NGOs, a step straight out of the authoritarian playbook. If they want to investigate fraud, waste, and abuse, this committee should instead focus on DHS Inspector General Joseph Kufari's failure to uphold his office's core principles of accountability, transparency, and integrity. The position of Inspector General is a vital one. IGs are tasked with ensuring the agency they oversee remains honest and lawful. During a period when the DHS is riddled with incompetence and abuse of law, the Inspector General is ever so important. However, it is clear that Mr. Kufari is incapable of holding DHS responsible due to his own disregard for accountability. IG Kufari misused $1.4 million in taxpayer dollars by hiring a private law firm to investigate his own employees in retaliation for their criticism of his qualifications. He ultimately had to pay one of those employees $1.7 million settlement. Inspector Generals are supposed to protect whistleblowers from retaliation, not be the source of retaliation. The IG misrepresented himself during his confirmation process by failing to disclose when asked that at the time of his retirement from the Justice Department, he was under investigation by the DOJ's Office of Inspector General for ethics violations. Furthermore, he provided inaccurate and misleading answers with respect to possible misconduct when he was a federal law enforcement officer. We also know that Mr. Kufari routinely deleted text messages from his own government-issued phone, a violation of federal record-keeping laws. Lastly, he continuously obstructed this committee's work by refusing to respond to inquiries and blocking his employees from appearing for transcribed interviews. Investigating all of these controversies, the Council of Inspector General on Integrity and Efficiency, an office then run by a Trump-appointed Inspector General, found that Mr. Kufari had abused his authority and engaged in substantial misconduct, recommending that President Biden fire him. Mr. Kufari's tenure as Inspector General has been marked by fraud, waste, and abuse. He has rendered the very watchdog office meant to protect DHS from abuse and mismanagement untrustworthy and inefficient. For the sake of accountability and for the sake of public trust in government, this committee must demand more from the Inspector General and hold him responsible. Mr. Chair, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11, I move that committee subpoena DHS Inspector General Joseph V. Kufari to appear before this committee to provide sworn testimony and to produce all relevant documents regarding his performance as the DHS Inspector General. With
Mr. Chairman,
that,
I move to table.
I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. There has been a motion from Mr. Jimenez from Florida to table. The gentleman that moves the table, that motion is privileged and is non-debatable. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
The ruling of the chairs is that the ayes prevail. Is there a motion for a recorded vote, Dr. Panadar?
Yes, it,
A motion for a recorded vote has been made. If we will take a moment to allow the clerk to return to his position. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Green of Tennessee, Mr. McCall, Mr. Higgins, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez votes aye. Mr. Pfluger. Mr. Pfluger votes aye. Mr. Garbarino. Mr. Garbarino votes aye. Ms. Green. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Luttrell. Mr. Luttrell votes aye. Mr. Strong.
Aye.
Mr. Strong votes aye. Mr. Burkeen.
Aye.
Mr. Burkeen votes aye. Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane votes aye. Mr. Ogles. Mr. Ogles votes aye. Mrs. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs votes aye. Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans votes aye. Mr. McKenzie. Mr. Knott.
Aye.
Mr. Knott votes aye. Ranking Member Thompson.
Nay.
Ranking Member Thompson votes no. Mr. Swalwell. Mr. Correa. No. Mr. Correa votes no. Mr. Tanadar. No. Mr. Tanadar votes no. Mr. Magaziner. Mr. Goldman. Mr. Goldman votes no. Mrs. Ramirez. No. Mrs. Ramirez votes no. Mr. Kennedy.
No.
Mr. Kennedy votes no. Mrs. McIver. Mrs. McIver votes no. Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson votes no. Mr. Hernandez. Ms. Poe. Ms. Poe votes no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter votes no. Mr. Green of Texas.
How am I recorded?
I'm sorry, I didn't see who the request was from.
Mr.
Mr.
Swalwell.
Swalwell is not recorded. Mr. Swalwell votes no.
Mr. Clerk, how's the chair recorded?
The chair has not been recorded.
Chair votes aye.
Chairman Guest votes aye.
Are there any other members who wish to be recorded?
Mr. Higgins was not recorded. Mr. Higgins votes aye.
Any additional members who wish to be recorded on this vote? The clerk will tally and report the totals.
On that vote, Mr. Chairman, there were 13 ayes and 11 noes.
The motion is agreed to. At this time, the chair would recognize for 5 minutes of his questioning, Mr. Pfluger from the great state of Texas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Never been so disappointed to sit in a partisan hearing. I mean, what a joke. And let me just correct the record for the gentleman from Mississippi talking about the floods in Texas and FEMA not being there. False. Completely false. They were there. I don't think the ranking member was there. I was there. Several people in this committee were there. So the assertion that FEMA was not there, you want to politicize something? Go politicize something else. But that's out of bounds. What a tragedy. And to try to take advantage of that in this space, the Homeland Security space, formed after 9/11, what a tragic statement to make. I mean, of all the things, and we kind of knew the politicization was coming, but for it to happen in this committee, Secretary was there multiple times. FEMA director was engaged everywhere. People on this committee were recovering and searching for bodies. I'm shocked, totally shocked at that statement. You know where else my colleagues on the other side of the aisle were not? They weren't at the border for the last 4 years. I was there. I'd like to seek unanimous consent to submit for the record 2 videos from the Darien Gap from a Codell in 2023, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
These videos show the children that are walking through, and only one Democrat accepted the offer to go to that Codell, to go see firsthand. Only one. The entire subcommittee was invited, and yet only one, and he's no longer a member. Only one. And you know how many hearings we had at the border from 2021 and 2022? 0. You know how many hearings we had on border security from 2021 to 2022? 0. So it's pretty rich to hear the assertions from the gentleman from Mississippi that the FEMA director is not involved in flooding, that DHS is not involved in flooding. Ms. Hopper, in your testimony, you talk about unprecedented trafficking due to lax sponsor vetting. And you also talk about alarming conditions and falsified records. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to describe the lack of sponsor vetting that led to the abuse of children at a level that is completely unprecedented. And be specific.
Thank you for your time. When we're talking about sponsor vetting, when I spoke with a retired Border Patrol agent, he had said that the requirements to adopt a dog that was about to be euthanized were higher than the standards and the documents that needed to be provided for an adult to sponsor a child. He went through more hoops to adopt a dog than what people would go through to sponsor a child. When it only takes 2 phone calls to verify that someone picks up on the other line, voice verification, or you receive a photograph of an identification through WhatsApp with no facial match to the person sending the photograph. When people talk about doing better job in Photoshop with fake IDs than what the documents they received in a picture of an ID, and no meaningful background checks on these sponsors, when you have children that are unaccompanied, and as a mother, as a Christian, as a Hispanic, you have children being sent to known pedophiles, known gang members, known individuals with criminal backgrounds, that is what led to this.
Thank you. Every single person that was on this committee from 2021 to the end of President Biden's presidency went to the border multiple times, and saw these atrocities that were happening firsthand, talked to these kids, saw the ones that were left in the brush. So it's pretty rich to say that we shouldn't be looking at NGOs that had a role, that were culpable and complicit in not vetting people or not doing the appropriate work. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you for holding this hearing. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell.
Nobody asked for the cruel deportations that we're seeing right now. We were promised that violent criminals, the worst in our community, would be removed. I'm good with that. I don't want violent criminals who are undocumented in our community. I'll help with that. Put out a list of 1,000 people. Most Americans are up for getting those folks out of our community. We were promised the worst would be removed. What we have found is that rather than focusing on the worst offenders in our community, this administration arrested a 6-year-old battling leukemia and detained that 6-year-old in the cruelest, harshest conditions. ICE detains 6-year-old leukemia patient and his family, even though they followed every immigration rule. In detention, the children cried every night, according to the family's attorney. The woman's 6-year-old son also experienced bruising and bone pain, both symptoms of leukemia, and missed an appointment related to his cancer treatment. His sister barely ate. Don't give me this Christian nonsense that I've heard from some of these witnesses. I'm a Christian. I'm a father. I'm from a law enforcement family. I was a prosecutor. This is not who we are. This is not what any American signed up for. This administration deported a 4-year-old American citizen battling cancer. They arrested a U.S. Marshal. They're not up for this job. They're just up for the cruelty, for owning the libs. They're not serious about protecting our communities from the worst. And these ICE agents running around our communities like masked bank robbers, terrorizing women, they're going to get themselves hurt, and I hope that doesn't happen. And we're already seeing women are being targeted by people who are impersonating ICE agents. I hope every state that is able to, and every community that is able to, unmasks ICE with their policies. If you're standing on the law, you can show your face. The FBI, they're probably doing a search and seizure right now at some dangerous criminal's home. They're not masked. They loudly, on their blue jackets, have that yellow insignia that says FBI. No other law enforcement agency in America runs around our communities masked. It's time that we unmask ICE. This is an administration that does not want to be held accountable. Secretary Noem does not want to come in and testify. Stephen Miller certainly doesn't want to sit in that chair and defend putting this 6-year-old battling leukemia into deportation proceedings. Tom Homan doesn't want to come here and defend why he thinks it's okay to target people based on their accent and the color of their skin. Yes, he said that. Thankfully, a California court has shut that down, and hopefully more lawsuits are brought across America to shut that down. But my Republican colleagues in Congress, they don't work for the administration. They are, theoretically, an independent branch of government. Article 1, the preeminent branch of government. So why do they go for this? Why do they enable this? Why aren't they outraged that this 6-year-old boy was in a condition where children are crying every night and experiencing bone pain as he fights cancer? This issue is pretty simple. Go after the worst and protect the most vulnerable, the ones who are contributing to our community. So if our Republican colleagues are not up for holding the administration accountable, then Democrats will. So, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11, I move that the committee subpoena White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller.
Gentlemen, yield back.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Motion to table.
There has been a motion to
Recorded
table. The gentleman moves the motion to table. The motion to table is privileged and non-debatable. All those in favor of the motion to table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no?
No.
The ruling of the chair is the ayes have it. Mr. Swalwell,
Record vote.
is there a motion for a recorded vote? A motion for a recorded vote has been made. We will allow the clerk a moment to resume his position. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Green of Tennessee. Mr. McCall. Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins votes aye. Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez votes aye. Mr. Pfluger. Mr. Pfluger votes aye. Mr. Garbarino. Mr. Garbarino votes aye. Ms. Green. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Luttrell. Mr. Luttrell votes aye. Mr. Strong.
Aye.
Mr. Strong votes aye. Mr. Burkeen.
Aye.
Mr. Burkeen votes aye. Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane votes aye. Mr. Ogles. Mr. Ogles votes aye. Mrs. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs votes aye. Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans votes aye. Mr. McKenzie. Mr. McKenzie votes aye. Mr. Knott.
Aye.
Mr. Knott votes aye. Ranking Member Thompson. Ranking Member Thompson votes no. Mr. Swalwell. Mr. Swalwell votes no. Mr. Correa. Mr. Correa votes no. Mr. Tanadar. Mr. Tanadar votes no. Mr. Magaziner. Mr. Magaziner votes no. Mr. Goldman. Mrs. Ramirez. Mrs. Ramirez votes no. Mr. Kennedy.
No.
Mr. Kennedy votes no. Mrs. McIver. Mrs. McIver votes no. Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson votes no. Mr. Hernandez. Ms. Poe. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter votes no. Mr. Green of Texas. Mr. Green of Texas votes no. Mr. Goldman has not been recorded. No. Mr. Goldman votes no.
Mr. Clerk, how's the chair recorded?
The chair has not yet been recorded.
Chair votes aye.
The chairman votes aye.
Are there any other members who wish to have their vote recorded? If not, the clerk will report the total to the committee.
Mr. Chairman, on that vote, there were 14 ayes and 12 noes.
The motion is passed. At this time, the chair would recognize the gentleman from the great state of New York, I'm sorry, at this time, we would recognize the gentleman from the great state of Texas, Mr. Luttrell, for his questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to point out Mr. Swalwell's point about that young man, and I don't know the information on it, that he was detained. We have to do a better job, here on this committee as far as oversight goes. There's multiple problems that I see. We should do our absolute best in the department to not make mistakes. The number of 325,000 missing children is a problem. We shouldn't have that problem. My question is to Mr. Howell and Ms. Harper, when those babies came across the border and were touched by Homeland Security and then passed on to an NGO, I would think that the NGO should have responsibility of knowing where those children went, correct?
They should.
Are we aware of whether or not the NGOs have records of who took those children into custody? Because I would think that we should have the NGOs also in front of us answering those questions so we can find those children.
They should.
Do they?
That would be a great question for the NGOs.
Mr. Howell?
Congressman, in litigation, we have sued the department for record sets kept by the NGOs that the department has access to. Those record sets do not have a lot of information. That is by design. It is why the government offloads this responsibility to nonprofits so they don't have to answer your tough questions and have custody of this derogatory information.
So to clarify your statement, NGOs are not to be held accountable for data aggregation on children that they move from through their organization into custody of someone else?
They absolutely should be held accountable.
I know they should be, but are you saying that they are or are not?
Are not.
And that is in the language that has been created for NGOs to get government grants?
Correct. There are obligations on the recipient of grants to keep statistics, information, et cetera, and all sorts of other legal obligations that are upon them.
To add to that, they have a contractual accountability, but aside from contractual accountability, it ends there.
What you got?
Well, that's exactly the problem, because it's not just the fact that we have this massive volume of people, and so things are obviously going to slip through the cracks. So there's no way to really figure out exactly how many they ran through or how many they processed, because like Border Patrol at the time and Customs, they were overwhelmed because people had a greater incentive to arrive illegally because of the policies pursued by the Biden-Harris administration.
So to my understanding, for this committee and moving forward, we need to make sure that legislation states properly that any NGO, whether or not be it the Catholic organization or whomever, has to follow certain guidelines and rules, which obviously that is not in place, correct? And in order for us to maintain accountability for any and all who come through our border, child, whomever, into the United States of America, we need to know exactly where they are at all times, correct?
It should be tied in the contract along with the grant money that it is outlined who is responsible for the data collection and management whether it's HHS or the NGOs, and if the NGOs are responsible, it needs to outline the requirements and the expectations of how to maintain.
So DHS needs to provide those standards to any NGO. Those NGOs need to have those standards passed on to anybody that's receiving a child.
If they're accepting the grant dollars.
Correct. So that's our next step. I would say that's pretty simple, right?
I would say the simpler solution is to stop funding the invasion of the United States. We can impose these standards.
Okay, I got you, buddy. I'm trying to go granular on this. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I'm trying to fix a problem that exists. We can bitch about it all day long, which we're just going to beat each other up and we're not going to go anywhere. I'm really trying to fix this problem, okay? So we have to move legislatively in order to solve that problem.
Right, and HR 2 contains a provision which would do a lot of that. It could also be improved.
Okay, so my next step as a congressional member is to write out legislation that both sides would agree on in order to fix this problem. That sounds like a pretty good fix, correct? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Mr. Goldman is recognized for questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here we are again, La La Land and Homeland Security Committee, conducting oversight of the President and his administration. Great, because there are many, many things that Congress should be conducting oversight over this administration. Donald Trump campaigned on finding convicted criminals who are unlawfully here in this country and deporting them. The worst of the worst, he said. Instead, he and his unidentified masked secret ICE agents are snatching and arresting immigrants from court proceedings, nonviolent, non-criminal immigrants pursuing legal pathways to immigrate to this country, and then illegally detaining them in horrific conditions, and even possibly deporting them despite the fact that they are here legally. You would think the committee with jurisdiction over the Department of Homeland Security would want to conduct oversight over the department's refusal to allow members of Congress to observe the conditions of DHS detention facilities. In fact, there is a specific statute that authorizes both Republicans and Democrats to conduct oversight over facilities that house or detain immigrants. But no, the department refuses. So we're here in the Homeland Security Committee, and I'm sure the Republican majority does not like it when this administration undermines its own authority, its own statutory authority, to conduct oversight. But no, instead of all of that, we are here talking yet again about Joe Biden. Newsflash, Joe Biden is not the president. He hasn't been the president for 7 months. So if we are going to conduct oversight here, why are we doing it about the Biden administration when this administration is literally detaining lawful permanent residents and even some U.S. citizens? And it gets worse. It's not just those masked ICE agents. There are many FBI agents who are being called away from their duties to investigate terrorism, violent gangs, child trafficking, and other crimes in order to help ICE arrest and detain immigrants with legal asylum claims, nonviolent. That makes our homeland less safe, not more safe. So we should hear from FBI Director Kash Patel about how many of his criminal investigators are being taken away from their criminal investigatory jobs, keeping Americans safe in order to help round up non-criminal immigrants trying to immigrate the right way. Some of these detainees are being held in Bureau of Prisons detention centers that are unfit for convicted criminals to stay in. We should hear from Pam Bondi about how much of the department's resources are being used to detain these nonviolent, non-criminal immigration detainees. And while they're here, we can ask them about a very pressing question. What's going on with the Epstein files? Donald Trump promised to release them. Pam Bondi said she had the files on her desk and that she was going to release them in the name of transparency. Kash Patel has spent years railing against the FBI to release the files. Many of my Republican colleagues were banging on the table to release the Epstein files. But now, all of a sudden, after a months-long review, Bondi and Patel say nothing to see here, no evidence that any American would want to see about accomplices, co-conspirators, or other people involved. Yesterday, the Republicans voted against releasing the files. So what's changed? Well, we all know Donald Trump has had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He flew on his plane, he hung out in parties, spoke highly of him. And now there are many people saying that Donald Trump is included in the Epstein files. In fact, there are reporters who say that there are videos of him with topless women. Elon Musk even confirmed that Trump is blocking the release of these files because he's in them. Pam Bondi says there's nothing there, but Donald Trump even acknowledges that there is evidence there. It's just not credible. It's made up. This is a Truth Social post from 9:43 this morning. It is an admission that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, and the American people deserve to know whether he is or not.
Mr. Garbarino
Mr. Chairman, I would, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11.
Gentleman is not recognized. Your time has expired.
I have a motion,
Mr. Garbarino
Mr. Chairman.
is recognized for questioning.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Thank you, Mr.
The gentleman has a motion.
Pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11, I move that the committee subpoena Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, and Kash Patel, the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Mr. Chairman, motion to table.
Gentleman has a motion.
Motion to table.
Motion to table is privileged and non-debatable. We shall ask all those in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion to table is agreed to.
Could I have a recorded vote, please?
Recorded vote is requested. The clerk shall call the roll.
Mr. Green of Tennessee. Mr. McCall. Mr. Higgins.
Aye.
Mr. Higgins votes aye. Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez votes aye. Mr. Pfluger. Mr. Pfluger votes aye. Mr. Garbarino. Mr. Garbarino votes aye. Ms. Green. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez votes aye. Mr. Luttrell. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong votes aye. Mr. Burkeen.
Aye.
Mr. Burkeen votes aye. Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane votes aye. Mr. Ogles. Mr. Ogles votes aye. Mrs. Biggs. Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Evans votes aye. Mr. McKenzie. Mr. Knott.
Aye.
Mr. Knott votes aye. Ranking Member Thompson. Ranking Member Thompson votes no. Mr. Swalwell. Mr. Swalwell votes no. Mr. Correa. Mr. Tanadar. Mr. Tanadar votes no. Mr. Magaziner. Mr. Goldman.
No.
Mr. Goldman votes no. Mrs. Ramirez.
No.
Mrs. Ramirez votes no. Mr. Kennedy.
No.
Mr. Kennedy votes no. Mrs. McIver.
No.
Mrs. McIver votes no. Ms. Johnson. No. Ms. Johnson votes no. Mr. Hernandez. No. Mr. Hernandez votes no. Ms. Poe. Ms. Poe votes no. Mr. Carter. No. Mr. Carter votes no. Mr. Green of Texas. Mr. Green of Texas votes no.
Am I recorded?
Mr. Correa is not recorded.
Vote no.
Mr. Correa votes no. Chairman Guest is not recorded. Chairman Guest votes aye.
Is any other member not recorded?
Mrs. Biggs votes aye.
As a gentleman.
Mr. Chairman, what are we waiting for?
I'm sorry, sir.
What are we waiting for?
We're waiting for all members to complete voting, sir.
We have all members who've completed votes, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, sir.
We'd like to call the question and have the vote tallied. All members who are present have voted.
Your request is heard and denied. We're waiting for members to return to the chamber to vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Ranking Member.
we went through this once, but that's not in the rule.
It's kind of you to have that opinion, Mr. Ranking Member, but I'm the chairman, and we're going to wait till members return for the vote. You guys are pushing a button on these procedural votes. It's not on the agenda. It was not discussed prior to this hearing, and we're going to give all members on both sides ample time to return to the chamber and cast their vote. It's the end of that debate.
Mr. Chairman, for the record,
Perhaps it's not.
the committee didn't even give notice of this hearing. So are you talking about engaging?
I'm quite certain that the committee is within the parameters of the rules of the House and the committee. Mr. Ranking Member, you've been on the committee longer than most of us have been.
And that's why I'm trying to
an
explain the
adult.
rules to
So
you.
I'm pretty sure you know the rules. We're following the rules.
Which rule are you following, Mr. Chairman?
You're the attorney, sir. You can look up the rules. I can tell you that I have high confidence that this committee, the staff of this committee, is following every rule, and the parameters shall be continued. We will wait for members to return to the chambers. This happens all the time. This is not new. This happens in every committee. When procedural votes are called, members have excused themselves after their questioning to handle our business. They have to return to the chamber. We'll allow that for the Democrats. We'll allow it for the Republicans. That's fair.
Mr. Chairman, we've never asked to wait on a vote.
Well,
We've
did
never
anyone tell you to ask, Mr. Ranking
No,
Member? Because
it is not
that's
the
generally
rules of the
how you
committee.
roll.
It's not the rules of the committee.
Okay, well, you're welcome to have that opinion, but I state again that the committee is operating within the parameters of the rules of the House and the committee. I have the gavel.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
I have the gavel, and I have the right to keep the vote open until members have returned from across campus to cast an important vote.
Mr. Chairman.
This is not new. It's historically accurate and traditional in Congress.
That's not true, Mr. Chairman. It's never done in this committee, and other committees have specific rules that allow for the chairman to do this. This committee does not have that rule. We are simply asking if you are doing this pursuant to the rules of the House or the committee, that you simply point us to the rule that allows you to do this, because if you are now ruling as chairman without the authority of the rules, we have a whole different issue.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Point of order, the
This
gentleman.
committee existed
Mr.
before the
Garber.
gentleman from New York was a member of Congress. I was in the minority back here in 2021, and some of my colleagues did. And the ranking member, who was chairman at that time, repeatedly held votes open when they were not, for members to return here to vote. Not because they
Gentleman
were for one way or another, but for members to get back on procedural motions. I've experienced it when I was in the member minority. Members were allowed ample time to return from unscheduled votes in this committee. Thank you.
The gentleman yields, and the gentleman is correct.
Gentleman from New York,
Is
since
the
you
ranking
ref-
member asking to be
Yeah.
recognized?
Mr. Cabaret, that's not true. When did that happen?
The ranking
did that
member is
happen?
not recognized. Does Ms. McIver wish to be recognized?
No, I'm still talking.
You haven't been recognized.
You recognized
Would
me.
you like? I did not.
You did.
You want me to recognize you now? You recognize now?
Obviously, I was talking to you already, Mr. Garbarino, because I had been recognized.
Yeah.
But that's not true. That is factually not true what you said.
That is, I don't recall the date, but I recall it happening. I recall votes being held open. So because whether there were other votes or other committees, there was procedural motions. There were also markups where votes were held open or sometimes
You're
delayed.
playing my time. Look, all this is just delaying till somebody get here. And Mr. Chairman, the rules are the rules. And for you to try to make them up as you go, that's not how you do it.
You gentlemen yield.
How am I recorded?
Mr. Magaziner has not been recorded.
I ask to be recorded as a no.
Mr. Magaziner votes no.
Mr. Chairman, while we wait, can I introduce a UC request?
Gentleman has a unanimous consent request. You recognize?
I would move to introduce a Truth Social post from Donald Trump from 9:43 a.m. Railing against.
Mr. Chairman, we're in the middle of a vote. I don't think you can entertain a UC request.
I'm advised, that although I'm quite generous with recognizing my colleagues across the aisle here, it's contrary specifically to the rules for you to introduce unanimous consent. Will the gentleman let us close this vote out? We're happy to recognize.
Of course, I'm happy to
Thank you, sir.
reintroduce.
Mr. Chairman?
Trying to be polite.
Mr. Chairman? Given that there seem to be some attendance issues, at least on the Republican side, I move that the committee do now adjourn.
There's an open vote right now. You're welcome to make a motion to adjourn after we close this
Mr. Chairman,
vote.
point of order. A motion to adjourn is the highest privilege, so it would
I'm not doing an
supersede-
open vote.
It would supersede.
Motion
The
to
open
adjourn, if you continue with your motion and enter your motion after we've closed this vote, then the chair will entertain that.
But parliamentary
Right
inquiry,
now,
can I make a,
this vote is open, it's going to remain open until
Chairman, can I ask a
members
question?
have been allowed to return.
Parliamentary inquiry, my understanding is that a motion to adjourn is the highest privilege and has to be acted on even if there is another open vote. Particularly a vote that's not being
Agreed.
properly closed.
With concurrence, which is reflective of my understanding, I respect Mr. Magaziner's position, and it is privileged, but cannot be entertained during an open vote. And this is an open vote. So if you would like, enter a motion to adjourn, good sir, we will certainly entertain that once we've closed this vote.
Mr. Chairman,
The madam is recognized.
request a tally.
Gentleman is recognized.
Request a tally of the vote as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, the chair will request a tally at conclusion of the vote, when we close the vote.
Green from Texas, Mr. Chairman. May I be recognized?
Of course, my friend from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, my friend. Is it in order to make a motion to close the vote?
I don't believe that a motion to close the vote is in order or required. The chair is keeping the vote open until members from either side of the aisle return to the chamber for this unscheduled procedural vote.
May I consider this a ruling of the chair?
You can't challenge the ruling of the chair on a motion that's not recognized during an open vote. So if you continue if you would like to submit a motion to adjourn, I would suggest you follow the rules there as well, but you'll have to wait until this vote is closed, good sir.
What I would like to do is as we have done with other motions, is appeal the ruling of the chair.
You're welcome to appeal the ruling of the chair if it's within the parameters of the rule, but that appeal will not be entertained during an open vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have made a decision by keeping the
go.
vote open. That is, in effect, a ruling. And Mr. Green is appealing that decision you've made.
Yeah, we're not going to entertain a motion or an appeal while the vote is open, Mr. Ranking Member. You know that.
Well, I know it, but it's not the rules.
We've always, and ladies and gentlemen, I understand your position. Understand you making a stance in the Homeland Security Committee.
We're just making a
This
stance
is
for you to follow the rules.
historically and traditionally, this committee and every committee I've served on has kept votes open when you have an unscheduled procedural vote to allow members to return to the chamber and cast a vote.
Mr. Chairman?
This happens if we're in the majority or you're in the majority. It's ideologically, appropriate from either perspective to allow your members to return to the chamber. And it's certainly the historical and traditional means by which we deal with unscheduled procedural votes.
Mr. Chairman?
Who was that, please? Mr. Brashean.
Yeah, point of order, or parliamentary inquiry, I would put it to you, but I would put it to the Democrat opposition also, is I would love for someone to point out where the rules say that you, as chairman of a committee, do not have the discretion over this matter. The accusation that the rules are being violated, but yet where is it in the rules that does not give the chairman the allowance of the discretion to make this decision?
Mr. Brashean yields. Mr. Clerk, how is Mr. McKenzie recorded?
Mr. McKenzie has not yet been recorded.
Aye.
Mr. McKenzie votes aye.
Wait on one more.
Mr. Mr. McCall has not been recorded. Mr. McCall votes aye.
Clerk will record a tally.
Mr. Chairman, on that vote, there were 15 ayes and 14 noes.
The motion to table has succeeded, and the chair recognizes Mr. Magaziner for questioning. You have a motion, I'm sorry. Mr. Magaziner, you have a motion?
No, I'll proceed with
The
my.
gentleman withdraws his intention. Mr. Garbarino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the witnesses for being here. I'm sorry that you're experiencing this today. It's not normal how the committee works. I'll tell you, it's amazing listening to the other side complain about our law enforcement officers, ICE, and saying that they should not be wearing masks, even though they're rounding up MS-13 criminals who, in my district, would chop up children with machetes, whether I was in Brentwood or CI. But they want them to be demasked and possibly face retribution. It's amazing. The first time that they're asking for anybody to be demasked. I mean, Antifa, they can wear their masks. The violent protesters that burned down cities, burned down cars, looted, they can keep their masks on. God forbid we hold the criminals accountable and ask them to be demasked. But our law enforcement officers, let's put them in danger for retribution from violent drug cartels and MS-13, who we know, whether in the U.S. or in Mexico or in South America or in Central America, kill whoever they want, however they want, whenever they want. But let's put our law enforcement officers in harm's way. Ms. Hopper, organizations that aided and abetted illegal immigration activities must be held accountable, and the committee has identified countless non-governmental organizations appear to have played a larger role in propping up the Biden administration's border crisis, helping play a role in obscuring the true extent of the lawlessness that occurred over the last 4 years. Can you highlight some of the most egregious examples of the activities NGOs engaged in support of the Biden administration's open border policies? Thank you.
Absolutely. I think Florida's grand jury review of the whole unaccompanied children process is a great place to start if people haven't looked into that. There are numerous situations where you can look at the funding of what the NGOs took in, starting with the 990s. Then when you start to zoom in, you look at the program mismanagement, waste, fraud, and abuse. This isn't about the humanitarian mission. This isn't about the religious component of the organization, the nonprofit. We heard people bring up the religious component of the nonprofit. That has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how the humanitarian organization handled the program, handled these children, handled these funds, and handled the sponsors. And they didn't. They didn't handle any of that. Now, not all NGOs mismanage children and mismanage funds, but there were a lot of them that did, and taxpayers funded it, they paid for it, and they must be held accountable for it.
Thank you very much. Can you also elaborate on the extent to which the Biden administration's reliance on non-governmental organizations endangered the lives of those children? I know you touched about it a little bit, but can you talk about especially the UACs? That is something that was, we saw a lot of UACs being sent up to New York, to Long Island, my district, and there was no follow-up or very little follow-up after they were sent. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, so once NGOs were sending children to their sponsors, they were supposed to have an individual traveling with them to make sure that they got to their destination. We were actually on a flight with numerous UACs that were unaccompanied, couldn't speak the language, and airlines struggled to communicate with them. They were traveling alone. When we spoke with the flight attendants, they outlined numerous situations where children showed up at incorrect locations. CPS would have to be called because the sponsor either didn't show up, they were at the wrong location, they couldn't communicate with these unaccompanied children, and they were not supposed to be traveling alone. Once they got to that state, there wasn't a follow-up. There were 2 phone calls, and there was very little follow-up or coordination with state-level agencies to share that information for meaningful welfare checks.
Thank you very much for your answer. And Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of House Rule 11, I have a motion requesting the committee subpoena former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. He refused to testify here in his own impeachment trial, and we believe the Americans should hear from him on his unlawful policies, especially the ones that we're addressing here today. So that's my motion, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Motion made by Mr. Garbarino.
Point of order? I'm sorry. I'll defer to the.
Mr. Chairman, I move to table the motion.
Motion to table. The motion to table is privileged and is non-debatable. All those in favor of the motion to table signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying no. No. In the opinion of the chairs, the nays have it.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a recorded vote.
A recorded vote has been requested on the motion to table. We will allow the clerk to resume his position. Mr. Clerk, if you will please call the roll.
Point of order. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I would like this committee to wait for other members to return from both sides of the aisle for the vote.
Ms. Kennedy, thank you for your input, but Mr. Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Thank you for your consideration, Mr. Chairman, as you're clearly demonstrating your partisanship in not allowing members of this committee to return as you held this open for at least 15 minutes on the last vote, which I've never seen anything so ridiculous in my entire 2+ decades of service in government. This committee's broken the rules countless times today, and it continues.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ogles?
If you open the vote so we can begin, is it possible for you to hold the vote open so other members can return as we just did previously, sir?
Mr. Clerk, if you will call the roll, members will have the opportunity to return as the vote is being called and as votes are being recorded. So please call the roll. I believe we also have votes that are occurring now on the House floor, so if you will call the roll on this matter.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Garbarino stated that Secretary Mayorkas did not come before this committee. He came dozens of times, but Stephen Miller has refused to come. Tom Homan has refused to come.
Mr. Clerk, votes have been called in the chamber. If you will please call the roll on this matter.
Mr. Green of Tennessee. Mr. McCall.
McCall votes no.
Mr. McCall votes no. Mr. Higgins. No. Mr. Higgins votes no. Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez votes no. Mr. Pfluger. Mr. Pfluger votes no. Mr. Garbarino. Mr. Garbarino votes no. Ms. Green. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez votes no. Mr. Luttrell.
No.
Mr. Luttrell votes no. Mr. Strong.
No.
Mr. Strong votes no. Mr. Burkeen.
No.
Mr. Burkeen votes no. Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane votes no. Mr. Ogles. Mr. Ogles votes no. Mrs. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs votes no. Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans votes no. Mr. McKenzie.
No.
Mr. McKenzie votes no. Mr. Knott.
No.
Mr. Knott votes no. Ranking Member Thompson.
Aye.
Ranking Member Thompson votes aye. Mr. Swalwell. Mr. Correa.
Aye.
Mr. Correa votes aye. Mr. Tanadar. Yes. Mr. Tanadar votes aye. Mr. Magaziner. Aye. Mr. Magaziner votes aye. Mr. Goldman. Mrs. Ramirez. Mrs. Ramirez votes aye. Mr. Kennedy.
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy votes aye. Mrs. McIver.
Aye.
Mrs. McIver votes aye. Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson votes aye. Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez votes aye. Ms. Poe. Ms. Poe votes aye. Mr. Carter. Mr. Green of Texas. Mr. Green of Texas votes aye.
Any other members wish to record their vote? Mr. Clerk, how am I recorded?
The chairman has not been recorded.
Please record me as a no. Mr. Goldman has entered the chamber. Mr. Goldman, would you like to be recorded?
Mr. Goldman votes aye.
Any other additional members who wish to be recorded? Mr. Clerk, if you will please report the tally.
Mr. Chairman, on that vote, there were 16 ayes and 12 noes.
The motion to table is not agreed to.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
With votes being called, the chair intends to call a recess. We will return back after votes have been called to then debate the motion. So at this time, the committee stands in recess.
Fantastic.